Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time I'm looking at One Piece, Chapter 736, Chief Executive Diamante. And all I have to say is, we should all prepare to engage in fisticuffs in a way that Michael Buffer can't sue us for violating his copyright on his trademark phrase, if you know what I'm going for. And I mean, Frankie has been fighting a bit, but I feel like here we really see some honest squaring off for fights to, really start in this arc. Because we have everybody, the four winners of each block coming out, and Diamante also entering the stage. And of course, some people who are a little sore about Rebecca winning the way that she did, they come running out and being like, we were cheated. We're going to fight Rebecca here because we're goons. Goon. And Diamante's like, hey, you sore losers, you lost. And plus I have to show off my devil fruit power, so I'm going to first stop you with my iron cape, and then I'm going to show you that I'm a flag man, or a flap man, and anything I touch I can make wavy like a flag. And so he totally messes up the weapons and kicks them away, and we find that they have upgraded the fighting fish around the arena so that they are even more powerful. They're basically like boss character fighting fish, and one of them even has the prized fire fruit, which makes it seem like it's Super Mario now that I think about it. But yeah, strapped to one of them, so whoever wins can go and get that and become a fireman. And so basically the gong rings and it jumps to the next part. So, whenever we get back there, we're going to see some swinging around. And I have to say, for all the ways that they avoided showing the mysterious fighter Lucy's face, they really kind of just like, oh, by the way, he's got sunglasses and that Viking helmet and a beard, so you can't really tell who it is. And it's like, really? You went out of your way so much to hide the fact that, yeah, if we saw him face on, you still can't confirm or deny that it's Sabo. So that was just kind of a tease. Yeah, unless somebody knocks off his helmet, which will probably definitely happen sometime during the big, 5-way battle. But until that happens, yeah, you can't really tell who it is until that happens. I mean, Rebecca obviously knows the minute that she sees this guy, it's, wait, that's not Luffy. And of course, Bartholomew already knows that it's not Luffy, but I just find it funny that all this buildup of putting word bubbles, using weird camera angles, always having his back, and it's like you see his front of his face, and you couldn't tell anyhow. So that was just kind of a tease, oh no, now I finally see the front of his face. But that should be a fun fight. I only have one complaint. Once again, my standard shonen fighting complaint, that they don't really give the female characters enough due. I'm like, come on! I know you really wanted to show off Diamante's flag powers, Oda, but please let Rebecca do something other than be Dodge Master. She could have at least tunkered out those 3 punks. That at least would have been kind of cool. But, whatever. I mean, hopefully she won't just get immediately taken out in this 5-way battle. Because, I don't know, she seems at least competently cool. So, we shall see. I still have faith in Oda that Rebecca will be somewhat awesome in this fight. Once again, I don't think she's going to win, but she could at least put on a good show. That's all that I ask. After that, we go back to Luffy's infiltration plan, and they've gotten in without a hitch. And then Luffy just basically pistols some guards and blows up a wall, and everybody kind of realizes, yeah, that's about as far as we were going to get with stealth. So, let's just barrel through. And you just see them wrecking up stuff, and alarms start going off. And Don Flamingo's like, what? How could we be being attacked by Luffy? He's in the Coliseum, right? Ah, fudge. And so he generally realizes he's been had and is quite mad. And I kind of feel like they wanted it to be this sort of moment like with Crocodile, when Crocodile is like totally peeved that with the whole Mr. Prince thing, but I don't know. I feel like Crocodile gave me much more of a I'm seeing what you're doing 3 things in advance. I mean, Don Flamingo is good, but he's not Crocodile good. We also see that Mr. Soldier and the little fairies are having trouble with the somewhat comedic old man martial artist Lao Ji, who seems to have found them by accident because he was supposed to be totally guarding somewhere else. But while he might not be, while he might be suffering from quite a bit of senility, his fighting style is still pretty good. So Mr. Soldier is going to have his hands filled with this guy. Although I think this fight is going to be one of those kind of like half silly, half deadly serious fights. Where, kind of like an Usopp battle. Where there's some serious drama, but there's also some serious comedy going on. And the chapter ends with Luffy, Zoro, and Violet kind of smashing through everybody. Which, by the way, Kiyomon just kind of disappeared. Like, totally vanished. Like, when Don Flamingo catches them, basically on camera, he doesn't mention them. And every time we see them after they've, broken into the castle, he seemed to have disappeared. And Oda doesn't forget about characters that way, so he's definitely up to something, especially since he can shape change. I'm definitely thinking that he's going to be a trump card at some point and pop out when we least expect him. But I did notice that. But yes, the chapter does end with them running into basically Pika, who is definitely a giant guy, and apparently he has the ability to meld with elements, because when we saw him he just looked like a huge dude, like a giant, but now he seems to have melded with stone and have like a completely stone golem like appearance. So definitely that should be an interesting fight. This guy, he's up against Zoro and Luffy, so I'm sure he's going to put up a good fight. But man, that is a duo. That is like the most powerful duo in One Piece. This guy's going to be good, but he's kind of one of those throwaway fights just before Don Flamingo. Kind of reminds me of Bluno in Water 7, where like he's just there to show you that these guys are awesome and kind of, give them a little run for their money before they get up to their big bosses. I'm sure Zoro will have to go off and fight some swordsmen, but until then, have these two guys have a awesome fight here. So, kind of curious what Violet's gonna add to the group. I mean, definitely Zoro and Luffy can handle this guy themselves, but I don't think Violet's just gonna sit on her thumbs. I definitely think she has some cool powers with her visions, so I think she'll add a little to this. Kind of like a mini Oars fight, where the three of them have to work together to defeat a huge foe. So that should be a fun little warm up fight for them. But some good fights starting. We've gotten at least some of the Straw Hats into their first big fights of the arc. So curious to see how many of these fights we're going to see continue and how much they're going to set up other new fights in the next chapter. But that'll be fun to see next week. All right, see you guys then.